As any parent here knows that when a child is born, there are a lot of different sounds that are made during that process. You know what I'm talking about. But that wasn't always the case. Once there was a long, long time ago, back when cats would still be able to talk and people still ate meat. Can you believe that? The sounds were a little bit different. It was more like ha ha from the mother, and then the dad would say go go, and then suddenly there was a, and the baby was born. And of course, you know that babies like to cry a lot. They often do not stop crying, even when they are exhausted and tired. But one day, there was a lady who was very, very fat. And anybody want to guess why she was fat? Yes, she was pregnant, that's right. And back in those days, this again, many, many years ago, there was the sounds, ha ha, go, go. And then a baby was born. And unlike other babies, this baby was a bit lazy. Most babies, they all of that noise. But this one could barely muster up the courage and energy to say, so that was the first strange thing. They named the boy Jack, because Jack was a good name at the time, and the mother raised Jack as best as she could, but he had no interest in playing games or doing much of anything. And as he grew up, his favorite pastime was sitting by the fire eating peanuts. And he would just do that all day, every day. The mother would buy toys and read stories, but Jack didn't care. He just sat eating peanuts, and he continued to grow, 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 bigger and bigger, until when he was a late teenage boy, he was massive, like huge. And not because he was pregnant, just because all he did was eat and sit all day. And he gained the name Lazy Jack. So one day, the mother was finally fed up with her boy not doing all of the things that you're supposed to do. Like, she would say, Jack, take this to market and sell it. And he would say, I don't know how to find the road. And if I don't know how to find the road, I don't know how to find the market. And then she would say, Jack, go outside and cut down the tree. It's getting too big. It's going to fall on the house. And he would say, I don't know how to use an axe, much less find an axe, much less how to hit a tree with it. And so the mother ended up going to the market, cutting down the tree, doing all of the tasks that a young boy should help his mother with. Finally, she was fed up with it and said, Jack, I've arranged with a farmer to give you a day's work, and he's going to pay you for the day's worth of work. Jack complained and argued, but the mother would not relent and said, no, Jack, you're going to the farmer's house. He said, but I don't even know how to find the road. And she said, that's fine, Jack. You're going to show up at the farmer's house, you're going to do the work that he says, and then you're going to get paid for it, and you're going to come home. And Jack said, fine. So Jack woke up. Actually, Jack didn't even wake up. The mother woke Jack up. Jack, get up, you're going to be late. And he says, but how do I find the road? And she said, follow the signposts for the farm. So Jack woke up, rubbed the sleep from his eyes, and walked out into the road for the first time, perhaps in his life. And he found a signpost. There were, this way to town, this way to the river, and that way to a farm. But beneath the signpost was a little thing that was written in nice scrawling handwork that said, any person that can make my daughter laugh will receive half of my riches when he takes her hand in marriage. Signed, the squire. The squire at the time, I'm not sure if Jack knew about it. I'm sure that he might have heard from the mother, but Jack's daughter, when she was born, her mother died, and she never laughed, never smiled. All she would do is sit and look out the window. And the squire grew concerned and just wanted her to laugh, so he offered the hand in marriage of anybody that could make. That's not what the story's about, though. So Jack, anyway, found the sign for the farm, and he followed the sign for the farm, and to his surprise and delight, he found the farm. And the farmer was there waiting for him and said, Jack, your mother's told me a little bit about your situation, so I'm going to explain everything as clear as I can. This is a farm. We have plants and we have animals here that need to be tended to and taken care of. We have these things over here with feathers and little comb on their head, and they are called chickens, and they make the sound like bark, 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 bark. Good. And then these ones with the stubby nose and the curly tail, these are called pigs, and they make a sound like oink, oink, oink. Yes. This one here with the big swinging udder, that one is called the cow, and the cow makes a sound like moo. So these animals are all different, but what comes out of their back end is roughly the same. So this is called a broom. It's a long stick with a wooden piece and bristles at the end. Your job is to sweep all of the stuff that comes out of their back end into a big pile that we can use to grow crops. So Jack says, okay. And he starts off and he sweeps up and moves some of the stuff around, but it's not very effective. So he ends up just kicking it around, and then it gets on his shoes, and he's using the broom to try and clean off his shoes. And the farmer comes in a few hours later to check on how Jack's doing, and is surprised to see that not much has changed, except now Jack is covered up to the knee with poop all over him. So Jack says, "Farmer, this isn't working. I think that I should just go home." The farmer says, No, show me how you're doing it. And he shows how I'm doing exactly what you said to do. And the farmer says, I see the problem. It would help better if the bristles were on the ground rather than the end of the stick. So Jack flips it over, and sure enough, that works a lot better. And surprisingly, he completes the day's worth of work and piles the pile up in the corner like he's supposed to do. The farmer comes and says, "Hey, well done, Jack. You have earned yourself a coin." And he gives Jack a coin. And Jack looks at it and feels a sense of pride in himself. And Jack says, "You are now a working man and have earned your first paycheck." And Jack says, "Wow, I'm a working man and I've got a paycheck. This is incredible." And he shows it to the chickens and says, "Chickens, look, I'm a working man." And he shows it to the cows and says, "Cows, look, I'm a working man." And the cow says, "Moo." And then he shows it to the birds in the sky and says, "Birds, look." And he skips home like this, and every time he comes across an animal, he says, "Squirrels, look, I'm a working man." And he goes by the river and says, "Ducks, look, I'm a working man. Swans, I'm a working man." Oh. Glunk. And he watches his working man's first wage disappear into the river. Oh no. Eventually Jack finds his way home and through tears tells his mother, "Mother, I've lost the coin that I've been paid." And she said, "Oh, Jack. Next time, put your paycheck in your pocket." And Jack says, okay. So the next day comes up. Mother wakes him up. And all the way there, Jack is thinking, okay, put the paycheck in the pocket. Put the paycheck in the pocket. And he arrives there, and the farmer says, "Today we're going to be milking a cow." And he goes over how to milk a cow and all of the intricacies of how to pull the udders and everything. And Jack picks it up pretty quick and milks enough. And at the end of the day, the farmer says, "Well done, Jack. You've completed a second day of work. So for pay today, you get to take a jug of this fresh, creamy milk home for your mother." And the farmer says, "You know how to carry a jug home?" And Jack says, "Don't worry. My mother told me exactly how to carry this home." So he opens up his pocket and puts the big jug inside of his pocket, and he goes home and he's so excited. He put the paycheck in his pocket just like he was supposed to do, and he skips and he hops home, and the milk comes up out of the jug into his pocket, down his leg, and eventually it goes into his shoe and soaks his sock and cleans his toes for the first time since Christmas, and feels funny and strange, but he's excited. And he gets home and his mother says, "Jack, did you put your paycheck in the pocket?" And he says, I sure did. And he says, "Oh, what did you get paid today?" And he pulls out an empty jug, and then he reaches in and empties out a pocket, and some milk falls in, and then he takes off his trousers and wrings them out, and then he takes off his shoe and dumps that out, and then his sock and squeezes that out, and then rubs his foot down into the jug. and the water is, or the milk is gray, and there's toenails and sludge in the top of it. And she says, Jack, 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 Jack. Ah. Next time, balance the paycheck on your head to carry it home. And don't skip, don't jump, just come home, just walk home with it on your head. And Jack says, oh, okay, okay. Balance the paycheck on my head, balance the paycheck on my head. So the next day comes up, to the mother's surprise, Jack's already awake. He's excited to go back to work. So he goes to the farmer, and the farmer takes him and says, today we're going to be waxing cheeses, and shows Jack how to dip the cheese in the wax and to seal it up so it can be sold. And at the end of the day, he gives Jack a large wheel of soft cheese. And the farmer asks, Jack, do you know how to carry this home? And the Jack says, don't worry, farmer, my mother told me exactly what to do. And he puts the soft cheese on his head, and he doesn't skip this time, he doesn't jump, he just walks straight home. But it's a hot day, and soon the cheese begins to droop and melt down his cheek, and he licks it up, and that's pretty good cheese. And then it falls down into the back of his shirt and to his armpits, and begins there, and then it falls at the front of his shirt down to his belly button, and it's all gathered up around his waistline at his belt. And he gets home, and the mother says, hello, Jack, what did you get paid today? And he says, well, mother, you're in for a treat. And he scoops off the top of his head and splashes it on the table. And she says, what's that? And he says, it's cheese. And look, I got more here. And he reaches into his armpit. And she says, Jack, there's hair and curly hair. And then as she's saying that, he's reaching in and pulling out from his belly button. She says, Jack, there's belly button lint in this. And he says, don't worry, there's more. And he starts to reach into his trousers, and she says, no, Jack. Jack. No. Next time, just carry it in your hands, okay? Just carry your paycheck in your hands and walk home. Jack says, okay. Goes to bed, wakes up the next day, and on the way to the farmer, carry the paycheck in the hand. So, today, the farmer says, we're going to clear the chaff from the wheat. And he takes them to this large room where all of the wheat has been stored up. And he teaches Jack how to throw it up into the air, and the wind blows through and takes the light stuff out, but the wheat actually falls down to the floor. And this is a pretty good job. Jack's pretty good at it. He's good at throwing it up into the air. He's got a lot of oofta with his weight and his size. He can throw it very high, and it takes it right out. The only trouble was there were lots of rats in the threshing hall, and the rats would climb over him, and he didn't like that part of the job. But to Jack's credit, he worked hard, and he finished the day's work. And the farmer wasn't sure what to pay Jack this time, and Jack made a comment about how he didn't like the rats, and he's got those at home as well. And the farmer says, you've got rats at home. How would you like a farm cat? Jack says, yeah, that would be great. And he's imagining a house cat, one that sits by the fire, cleans itself, sits on your lap, purrs. He didn't know that a farm cat is completely different. The farm cat is a hunter. It's a thief. It's a pickpocket. It rolls up handmade cigarettes and smokes them all day. It doesn't care about you, and it'll spit in your eye as well as stealing everything that you have. But he doesn't know that. So the farmer puts on this leather glove up to his leg, and he goes up and catches one of the kittens that hisses and spats and bites and gnaws at the farmer's hand, and the farmer holds the cat out like this as it's fighting and screeching and making all kinds of sounds that Jack has never heard before. And he says, Jack, do you know how to carry a cat home? And he says, don't worry, farmer, my mom told me just how to carry the paycheck home. And the farmer said, okay. So Jack reaches out his hands and grabs it and starts to walk off, but the cat is fighting like a cat in a bag, and it's scratching him, and it gets up on his neck and steals his hat and scratches his face and runs away. And Jack walks home sad and dejected, and gets home and shows the mother the scratches and goes, because that's all Jack knew how to cry. And the mother says, Jack, next time, just tie your paycheck to a string and follow it home. Just pull it home after you. And Jack goes, okay, tie my paycheck to a string. So this morning, the next morning, he puts a wad of string in his pocket and goes off to do the work. And this time he's working with the butcher attached to the farm. And the butcher shows Jack how to skin and to gut and to do different pieces. And Jack's actually pretty deft about that. And he knows how to use a broom as well, so he can scoop and sweep up the butcher's house as all of this is going on. And at the end of the day, the butcher or the farmer comes up and says, "Hey, well done today. Your payment is this nice roast or nice ham pig leg for your mother to roast for you on Sunday dinner." And he says, "Great, thank you." And the farmer says, "Do you know how to carry this paycheck home?" And he says, "Of course I do." And he pulls out the string, ties it around the bone, and sets it down behind him. And he starts to walk home and says, "Come on, come on, Ham, come on, Ham." And all of the animals of the farm watch as this is getting pulled, but the dogs and the cats think that this is some fantastic game, and they pounce on it, and Jack starts to run behind and says, "Come on, Ham, faster, faster!" And the dogs are gnawing on it and getting dragged behind, and the cats are clawing after the meat, and eventually he picks up speed and runs through the middle of town, being chased by the horde of dogs and cats and animals, and goes over the hedges and through the grass and over a plowed field, and eventually makes it home with heavy breathing. And the mother says, "Hey Jack, what were you paid today?" And he says, "Haha," and he holds up a bone on a string. She says, "Jack, Jack, 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 next time just carry it over your shoulder." And he says, "Okay, carry my paycheck over the shoulder, carry my paycheck over the shoulder." So he sets off back to work the next day. And this time he's working with a horse, and the farmer shows him how to do all of the horse things, how to take off the horse slippers and put on the horse shoes. I assume that's how it's done. I've never actually worked with a horse, so I don't know how that works. But after a hard day's work of shoeing horses and combing their hair, the farmer looks around and says, "Well, Jack, I've got a donkey that is getting quite old for work, but it would still be well enough to carry to pull your mother to market, or a wagon around the area if you needed." And Jack says, "That's perfect. Thank you, Mr. Farmer." And the farmer says, "You know how to lead a donkey?" And he says, "Don't worry, my mother told me how to take my paycheck home." And with a big heave, he puts the donkey on his back. So its legs are straight up in the air, and its head is rolling around. And this has been a world-wise donkey. It's been around for a long time, and it knows how to handle most things, but usually it has people on its back. It's never been on someone else's back. So Jack is balancing this donkey through town, and all the while the limbs are flailing, and Jack is shushing it, saying, "Shh, there, donkey. Mommy showed me just how to carry you home." And he carries it through town, and the people are looking out of the window confused, and on the streets they're stepping out of the way and say, "That takes a special type of person to carry the donkey instead of riding on or for a donkey to ride on that person instead of riding on the donkey." And he goes past the biggest house in the town. All the while, "Shh, donkey, it's okay. You know, I know exactly how to carry you home. Don't worry." And it comes across this big house with immaculate hedges. There's a beautiful white front door with crystal clear windows, and it's 2 stories as well. Crystal clear windows up top. No front doors on the top. But comes across, and inside there's a woman, a girl, 17, 18, 19 years old, doing sewing, looking out the window, completely glum-faced. And it's the squire's daughter, who has never laughed, never smiled, never spoke. And she sees a donkey leg moving on the hedges, and then another donkey leg, and then the other donkey legs, and then the head of the donkey pops over the hedges and goes, "Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw." And for the first time, she feels something bubbling up inside of her, and she begins to giggle. She begins to laugh, and eventually she falls down helpless on the floor, and a puddle of tears streaming down her face as she's laughing and crying and having so much fun watching this donkey float past upside down at the top of the hedges. And the dad rushes in and hears the commotion and says, daughter, what's happening?" And she says, "Daddy, I can speak. I can laugh, and it's all thanks to that donkey and Jack carrying it." So the man rushes out and catches Jack and says, "Jack, donkey, you've made my daughter laugh. I've promised half of my land to whoever could make her laugh. Go fetch your mother, bring her here right away." So Jack looks confused, doesn't really know what's going on, but carries the donkey the rest of the way home, and the mother says, "Jack, Jack, Jack, Jack. Next time." Oh, Jack interrupts her this time. Says, "Hey, we've got to go to the squire's house." So the mother shows Jack how to hitch a wagon to the donkey, and they ride in the wagon, being led by the donkey, back to the squire's house. The mother looks at the squire, and the squire looks at the mother, and they immediately fall in love, and they get married. But it's not just that. It's a double wedding, because the squire promised whoever made his daughter laugh, the daughter's hand in marriage. So there was a big to-do about the town, and the mother married the squire, and the squire's daughter married, of course, the donkey. The end.